Okay, it is May 17th, Sitenda Mai, 2019, and I am live drawing some Catacomb Geomorphs up in here for the next couple of hours. So, let's get started. I have a whole bunch of Geomorphs to draw for the next issue of Skeleton Wizard. I'm planning on, for this geomorphic dungeon I'm doing, I was planning on having 16 in total. So I'm going to work on them some more today and hopefully bang out the other 8. If not, I guess we'll just see how far I get. And in terms of what I've drawn so far, I guess I've got a sample I can show to the camera here. So these are some ones that I've been working on, and they follow the kind of mapping style that you often see from some of the more old school dungeon mapping projects. So I'm very much following that style today, and kind of continuing through making the whole thing visually consistent. So right now I've got a pretty good inventory of different geomorphs here. I've got a crossroads. I've got a couple of different straight ones with little skeletons and bodies showing on them. And then I've got a columbarium where some people are interred who've been cremated, and then an Otyug pit where the sewer crosses with the catacombs. So today I'm going to add some more pieces, and I don't actually have the encounters that go with these planned out yet, so this is kind of mapping to find out, I guess. Going to discover by mapping what the different encounter areas will be like. Oh, hey, somebody just joined the stream. So this is what I'm continuing from. I've got this marked as part 2, and that's because I already did a bunch of Catacomb Geomorphs over the last few days. And now I am just picking up and starting again with some other ones. So I'm going to try to get through 8 of them. I'm not sure if I'll get through all 8, but I'll just bang away at them and see how we do here. There. Cool. Hey, I don't think I've seen you on before. Thanks for joining up. Welcome to my stream. Okay, so what do I want here? I probably want like a fairly... I've been using a .05 for the outer walls on this. I'm totally addicted to micron pens. These are one of my favorite things to draw with. And I got a bunch of new ones loaned to me the other day, so I'm going to try those out. So I'm doing kind of a 3x3 area for each of these bits. So just to get myself started here, I'll mark off like a 3x3 space. Alright, and then realistically, a catacomb is going to have a lot of straightaways to it, and so far I've only done 2 straight pieces. So I think I'll just get warmed up here by doing another bit of straight hallway with some burial niches along the edges of it. So let's have the hallway dip in here and form a little niche. And then we can do the same thing on this side. We'll make it sort of symmetrical. So this hallway will just have 2 niches on it. Then we'll do the same thing on the other side of the hallway. Actually, you know what I want to do here that I haven't done so far in these geomorphs is do one that's kind of asymmetrical, because if you go and you look at photographs of real catacombs around the world, they're not all like evenly, neatly built. They're pretty... I mean, monks built them, so like there was some alcohol use going on in there right away. And then because I've got demi-humans in my setting, short people, I can have one that's a little narrower than the others. So that's cool. So there's just the outline of my wall, and now what I need to do is build up a bunch of texture and styling around this to make it look awesome. How's everybody's Friday going? Mine's been pretty chill over here, although the weather kind of sucks. Let's see, I thought I had a... Oh, here's a .08. That'll do. This is a big This is a big fat one. Okay, so we're just gonna use this to, ooh, there's something up with this one. The tip on this is not great. Like I said, I haven't used this set of markers before. I kind of borrowed these. Alright, let's switch to, oh, here's another point. Oh wait, that's in better shape. Let's use that. So, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to do a nice thick outer edge that'll be kind of irregular. I want it to be a little choppy. And then kind of build that up along there. Today it is like in the 50s where I am, which is ridiculous because yesterday it got up to 78 degrees and tomorrow it's supposed to go up to 80, but that's just weather in my hometown of Chicago. That's how it goes. Okay, cool. Had to take my vitamin D today. A happy man is a man who knows where his vitamin D is. At least in my case. I suppose a woman or an NB might be happy as well if they knew where to find their vitamin D. If you work in Antarctica, it is mandatory to take vitamin D. If you do not take it, you will go crazy. That's what I'm told by somebody I knew who went to Antarctica. And she was quite sane, so I assume she took the advice. Okay. Hey, who we got? Oh, hey, Matt. How are you? Happy Friday. Okay, so we're almost done building up these thick outer borders for the walls here. And once we get these done, we can start in on texturing back a bit. Happy little dungeon walls. Let's make a happy little dungeon wall. Like a happy little tree. Put that marker in there and you just Bob Ross it up against the paper. Okay, cool. So that's my first layer. I'm going to switch to a slightly thinner pen. And I'm going to put in a row of dungeon stone brickwork all along the outside here. So again, these are almost half a square wide, but you know, you can keep them a little bit irregular. It makes the whole thing look more organic. I mean, with this catacomb here, we're not really talking about the results of modern architecture. More like hapless stonemasons toiling away in the depths. Okay, yeah, so we do that. So that'll just be our first layer of brickwork. The brickwork is going to be... Oh, it will be fancy. Not super fancy, but fancier than this. Just build up these layers around the outside here till it looks like a wizard mapped it out for you on parchment in a bar. A wizard with excellent patience and penmanship. Probably not a drunk wizard, not the kind of wizard that makes owlbears. More like the kind of wizard who has an enlightened debate about cosmological principles in a magical world of fantasy. Something like that. Okay. now you've heard my spiel about wizards, let us switch pens once again to something slightly thinner. And we will build up just like an inner layer here of, this will be more brick, but it's a sketchier line. The idea here is this brick pattern is just kind of going to fade into the ground around it as we get up here. So we add this tenuous line along the outside. That's going to be tricky because this is too thin to go into here, so we'll just kind of fake the funk a little bit. Okay, cool. And then we'll start adding just the hint of a connection in the mortar and brick. Just kind of do it very loosely there. Doesn't have to be a tight connection. I like just the hint as it fades back into the stone. The cold stone of the dungeon, where the germlings wait to eat your toes. Yes, they do. Alright. Now, we'll do the same thing on the other side here. Just add in some texture. And, you know, I should note, this is not my technique. I'm kind of using a composite of different techniques that I've seen out there. And there are a ton. I feel like there's almost like this folk knowledge of how to draw a map that's emerged. Because I'm far from the only person drawing maps that look like this. I guess you could call it sort of an old schooler thing. Or something like that. Okay, cool. And then we start filling in the ground. Oh, you know what? I'll use a brown for this. Where's my brown? You can hardly tell, but they show up on the scans. This would be going into my zine, Skeleton Wizard. So it'll be scanned and eventually presented in mainly in a PDF format. But the resolution on those is pretty good, so I don't want to cheat. People will be able to see. Got to do a good drawing. Just fill in some sand and gravel here for the earth underneath. Of course, the other really popular way of doing what I'm doing right now is to do a whole bunch of hash marks around the outside of the map there. And I did that for my last big map project, but I wanted to try out the rocks and gravel technique on this one. So we got kind of, what we'll do here is we'll just sort of randomly scattered around, put some rocks, so there's some underground texture there, and we'll do a mix of big and tiny rocks, so some of them will just be wee, and others you'll be able to see. I would say happy Friday, but Friday has no meaning for me. I am a freelancer. When you freelance, there is no Friday. Only days you decide maybe I won't work so much. Okay, cool. So that's coming along there. And I'll move that a little closer to the camera so you can get a look, because I know it might be somewhat hard to see some of the details here. But yeah, so we've got a great little gravel and rock thing. Oh yeah, you too. Yep. My last job couldn't afford me, so I'm hanging out and drawing dungeons for you instead. Seems like an okay deal to me for the moment. Okay, and then these are burial niches. So let's get our niche on. What do I want here? I think about a 0.3 pen. And where's my 0.5? I'll just do like a little lip here, where the edge of our shelf is, our body shelf. Cool, and we're looking straight down, so we don't really need a ton of shadowing here to bring this off, but we could, if we want, just do like a little, like that along the edge there. A little bit of a shadow. It's a little bit more detail than I've put into some of these other ones as I was doing them, but let's try it for this. I think it looks nice. Cool. And then in our little niches, we can have the hopefully quiet dead. So I'm going to do skeletons and winding sheets for this one. So it'll be just sort of a little, I'm a death cone. Or death sushi. I don't know. And then in this one we'll put a short person, and since my kobolds in this world have little horns, I'll put some tiny little horns on it. This will be the grave of a kobold here. And then we can do a tall skinny person, why not? Some little skull eyes there. Cool. Actually, this wants to be charged. Come on, man. Don't do this to me, headphones. I'm streaming right now. I thought we were cool. Okay. Well, luckily I'm not playing a game, so I don't really need to... There's not a lot I need to hear here. Okay, so yeah, let's get some more of these guys in here. And we'll just do some long skinny skeletons and winding sheets. Tiny little eyes. I won't try doing noses because you won't be able to see them. Let's make someone thick. Let's make a dwarf. There are a lot of dwarves in my world. Make them short and thick. It looks like a... you look like a great parsnip. There we go. Cool. Yeah, I love these things. Hey Jared, how you doing? I am a huge fan of this brand of pen. I've been doing a lot more drawing since I started illustrating a zine, and so these have become my new best friends. And they're really good when I need to do something like, let's put some candles next to this dwarf grave. Tiny candles. And we'll just put some scum over here. I'll shade these in a little bit. Put some shadows in the back. This person has a thing by their head. Some grave goods. Cool. Alright, so we're almost done with this one. Just needs a few more things. Let me zoom on that more. That probably looks a lot better for you guys. So let's do some grid lines across the floor. So I'm going with a 5-foot scale on these. So each of these squares is going to be a 5-footer. I'm kind of just going to suggest the grid lines rather than making them like super perfect. This is a very, like, old school mapping thing to do now. Got a grid, but I'm not going to commit to it completely because chaos. And let's put some lines at the end there. And that's Geomorph. All right. Oh, yeah. Just for writing. I mean, like, they're sort of almost overkill for writing. I feel weird writing with them. Because I'm like, oh, this is too nice to just write with. I should be drawing with it. Okay, what do we want to do for the next one here? Let's see, right now I only have one bend in a passageway. And I don't have any stairs, so... And I was experimenting with stairs earlier. Anybody who watched the first... I don't know if any of you watched the first installment of this stream, but I failed at drawing stairs pretty epically. So I think I'm going to have another go at stairs today. I practiced between streams, and I think I got the technique down. So let's give it a try. Get my good 0.8er here. And again, we'll do this one again like it's going to be a... Oh, it's not my good 0.8er. Where's my good 0.8er? I've got terms for this stuff now. I've become an expert already. Fallout 4. Ooh. And thank you for the words of support regarding the zine. Anybody who's new to my stream, this stuff is all going into a zine that I'm working on, and you can get it from the Patreon link underneath. If you want to be on the early receiving end. Otherwise, later in the month of June, it will come out on drive-through and itch. Oh, you're a tiny writer. Okay, yeah. If you're a tiny writer, these things are a gift. Oh, you know what? I think I have a number 1 here that I can color this in with more quickly. Where the heck did I put it? It was here. Too many pens. Not enough brain. Okay, so I lost it. Just keep looking at this one. Hey, Sumkey, how are you? Happy Friday to all, and to all a good Friday. Not the kind of Friday, not that kind of Good Friday. You know, just a general Good Friday, not the one where JC gets nailed. Okay, that was a very thick line that I decided to do there, kind of impromptu. Well, I can't speak for everyone, but I'm having a good day. Despite the weather here's best efforts to gray me out of existence. One of my great weapons in the arsenal against darkness has been taken away. I found out that for other reasons I cannot use a happy light. So I have to stick to vitamin D to fight off the dark, and that's it. Vitamin D and exercise and things like that. Okay, almost got our outer wall there. And switcheroo on pens. Go down to here, and I'll do my brickwork. It is so much work to stay happy. It's true. It's true. And it's one of those invisible labor things, like, people who don't get it, don't get it. Okay, that's looking alright. Do the other side now. Just fill in happy little bricks one at a time. That's it. It's like making love to the graph paper. I've got to get a big Bob Ross wig and wear it for one of these streams. I'm really feeling it. Cool. We'll go down a size. Start doing my outer lines. Again, this is where the brickwork will kind of fade back into the ground. And start putting in some little brick connectors there. Not quite showing them all the way. Just little ticks, tickety ticks. Happy little tick marks. All right. Hey, I see a bunch of other people joined. Welcome to the stream. I am making some geomorphs for a dungeon today, a catacomb dungeon. So this is a whole series of little maplets that will fit together to form a complete dungeon. And then the game master can kind of randomize them and give them to the player either in a sequence that they like or in whatever sequence comes up on the draw. So here are some of the ones I've done so far. You know, like got a big burial chamber, got a pit where a garbage monster lives, all that kind of stuff. And they all are little 3x3 blocks, so they fit together. I have never done geomorphs of, well, I might have tried to make geomorphs like back when I was a kid, just kind of screwing around. This is the first time I've actually purposely put together a fully geomorphic dungeon and done a corresponding map and everything. So, yeah, new adventure. Yeah, D&D Lego bricks, exactly. And these were like a thing back in the day, like when it was TSR's show. TSR did a whole bunch of these soft cover books called Dungeon Geomorphs, and they were like this. They were like little tiles of dungeon that you could fit together, but they were a little bit less modular. They tended to have bigger sections of dungeon in them. And the other thing that I'm doing here is sort of a mapping to find out exercise. I know what the first, middle, and last encounter in this scenario are going to be. I have no idea what happens with all the other encounters. So part of what I'm doing by drawing geomorphs is I'm giving myself some inspiration for filling out the rest of the dungeon. So let's get some nice gravelly textures in there. And some rocks. We are underground after all. Although I guess we're in some place where the underground is maybe a little bit sandy or gravelly as opposed to being solid rock, which matches with where my adventurers are. They're under the streets of a city. Cool. So now I am going to turn this into a staircase. And so to do that, let's see, I want to turn my thing here because it's going to be easier sideways. Make sure you guys can see that okay. So the top of the staircase is going to be over here. Oh, and is this, are you the pen I want? No. Let's go with this. So each stair will be about half a square wide. It's about as thin as I can draw this and still really have it look good. Yeah, I kind of like doing maps that way. I think I've sort of always done it that way. Like when I was a kid, I would just sit there and draw maps and then populate the maps. So I don't know. I don't think it's like a revolutionary technique or anything. I'm sure there are a lot of other people who do dungeons this way. It just happens to be my preference. But yeah, doing something where the map is disconnected like this is interesting. You have to think about it a little bit differently, because it's not going to be continuous like a normal dungeon would be. The encounters can come in any order, and I do have a boss fight at the end that'll always be the same boss fight, but other than that it can vary a lot. And I think what I'll do is I'll put a landing in the middle there, which could be an interesting place for a monster to be positioned, or a trap, or something like that. Now these look completely flat right now. They have no dimension to them. So let's get a slightly thinner pen, and I'm going to add. So like I said, this is the top. So as we go down the stairs, I'm just going to add some thin hash marks to the edge that is in shadow. So if you're, imagine you're standing at the top of these stairs holding a torch. There'll be a bit of a shadow coming down. Now the other thing this is going to do is I'm going to have to be a little bit careful with my grid lines when I put those in, because I don't want the grid lines to totally screw up either the texturing or the readability of the stairs as stairs. So I'm not sure how I'm going to do that yet. We'll figure that out when we get to it. Well, I don't know about you guys, but I feel that a gray day is appropriate because it is a gray day. We found out a few days ago we lost Grumpy Cat. And I can't say that it threw my whole day off and made me stop, but I did have a little sadness in my heart today, learning about the demise of that feline celebrity. On the upside, every Grumpy Cat meme ever made is now getting a second life for a few days. So that'll be a fun way to send the old grumper off. Okay, now I've got to do my grid lines, and I'm going to do them a little bit differently than I've done on some of the other Geomorphs. So on most of them, I went with really thin grid lines. Here I need them to be seen. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do them in a thicker pen across here, and that'll nice and visible. And then I can go in with my thin pen and just do these across here so that they're not overwhelming. And there's my stairway. Looking all right. Okay, that's 2 down, 6 to go. I don't know if I'll make it to 6 before my hands get tired. I'm not used to drawing all day yet, but I'm going to try. Okay, so we've got a staircase and a little hallway with some burial niches. And I think I mentioned before I didn't have a lot of turns, so I'm going to do another turn. But this one I'm going to make a little bit fancy, I think. So let me block off my area where I'm going to put this in here. The really unfortunate thing about Grumpy Cat is Grumpy Cat was young. Grumpy Cat was only 7 years old at the time of her demise. I don't normally talk celebrity news, but this is Grumpy Cat we're talking about, not a fucking Kardashian. Okay, cool. Yeah, it's very young for a cat, and I think part of it was she had that some form of feline dwarfism that probably shortened her overall lifespan. Ooh, secret rooms, yeah. That's an idea. You know what? I'm going to put my turn in the passageway on hold for right now. Normally I don't take requests, but today I'm taking requests. So yeah, let's make that happen. Oh, really? That sucks. Yeah, 7 is like... That's what, like 35 in human years? That's a bummer. Is it 5 years or 6 years for cat years? I would ask my cat, but he doesn't really acknowledge the whole concept of human time. Also, he's sleeping. Okay, so for a secret room, what I'm going to want to do is something a little bit different with the masonry. My cat's name is Duncan Idaho, because he is a little badass. He's never been reincarnated, though. Although if I could clone him, I would. Okay, so let's get our secret room on. So we'll make this sort of a shallow secret room here. Oh geez, I made a mistake. I gotta fake the funk. Okay. Doing my thing. with a pen and paper. So I wonder if I sing a song really well, will it trigger the copyright thing and get me in trouble? I'm curious about this. I want to find out. According to the cat age calculator, 7 cat years is 44 human years. That is too damn soon. Okay, so what we've normally been doing with these. Well, let's just see. I am not going to tell you guys what my plan is for how to do this because I don't know yet. I'm just going to see what I can make work with the other patterns here. And I don't know what would be in a secret room here either, which is the fun thing. I know that these are the catacombs of the death priests. I can't say that without throwing the goat. What secrets lie in this secret room? We do not know yet. We shall find out, though. Ere anon. Iranon, can you say that? I might be messing up my Elizabethan grammar. Oh yeah, kazoo covers. Hey, that was how I made my first dollar as an independent game designer. Was playing Michael Jackson in the corridor at Metatopia. That put me on the map, man. I still have that dollar. I can pull it out for you now. Oh. Yeah, not so much for the sake of the stream as kind of selfishly. I wish it were easier to play music because I love listening to like some kind of stoner metal when I'm drawing, and can't really do that. Under the current copyright regime, which is a bummer. Okay, cool. So we'll put a little brickwork pattern there, and then we want it to be a secret. So I will start out with an S. I will make my S fairly wicked looking. Yes. The serpentine S. Secret body. Yeah. Oh, okay. Well, see, that's a bummer. Especially with something like this, because with a video like this where I'm drawing something or I'm making something. Oh, geez. I've been sitting here drawing this thing where you guys can't see it. I'm so sorry. Cool. Oh, that's better. Yeah, so we now I've built up some nice thick walls and bricks and a secret door. Yeah, and I mean, like, I can't even put videos up right now on here because they took away the capability for people who are not affiliates or is it partners or affiliates? You have to be at the level where you're actually official. Like, I'm still do not have enough followers to put up my own videos, which is sort of annoying because when I started, you could do it. Whatever, Twitch. I'm sure they had their reasons. Secret room. for secret doings. Dirty deeds done dirt cheap. Man, first Peter Mayhew, then Grumpy Cat. Celebrity Death's always come in threes. It's going to be some other, like, furry celebrity next. That's what I'm afraid of. Yeah, I can upload to YouTube. So what I've been doing with some of these videos that I'm making is looking at... I think I've got one up right now. The last video I did needed editing so badly that I didn't put it up. But yeah, I am starting to YouTube a little bit. Yeah, I mean, everybody knows what it means. There's no need to mess with it. However, I do now have to, like, figure out what's in there and draw it, or draw something in there. Let's see. What I need right now is a random table of things you find in Catacombs to roll on. So maybe that's something that I need to make as part of this project. Although I'm already working on a random table of what happens to the people you leave to watch your horses. So maybe for another issue. Oh, cool. Oh, Tim Conway, yeah. That's right. I loved Tim Conway when I was a kid. I would watch his movies over and over again to, like, learn how to do voice impersonations. I think Tim Conway may be a better game master, actually. Yeah, you and Mick streaming, that should be great, though. Get the band back together. Cool, alright. Now, I know I just want regular grid lines in the corridor, so I'll do those first. And of course I'm like hedging here, because I still haven't decided what to put in this room. It is a catacomb, so it could be a secret tomb. Why would a tomb be secret? Well, there's a lot of reasons. Why would a tomb be secret here? Well, we're in the catacombs of the Death Priests. The Death Priests are a cross-religious organization that take care of death. They're given charge of people's bodies upon their passage. Whose body would they hide? A criminal? A villain? Oh, a villain. A villain who's since become undead, perhaps? Yes. Ah, criminal. A foul criminal. Someone interred here anonymously and then walled in behind a secret door. So, it's fairly clear what's in here. It's a tomb. And let's see, there will not be very many squares in here either. So what I think I want to do is, there'll be a burial niche here. And I'll have a single corpse on that. But I think this corpse, rather than being wrapped like all the others, will be simply laying there. A tall person. A tall person with hollow eyes and evil desires. Excommunicated. Ooh. A failed death priest. Someone who did not take their oath seriously. I like it. I like it. Photios the excommunicated. His crypt. Cool. So, Photios the excommunicated will be some type of undead who will cause great harm if let out. But, good place to put treasure, too. Oh, puzzle or secret. That's a cool one, too. I like that. I'm working on a puzzle tomb thing right now. So it's funny you should mention that. Not ready to say what it is, but definitely scratches that itch. Okay. A puzzle worshiper. Huh. You should do something with that idea. Doesn't fit into my world, but I like the idea of a puzzle god. That's pretty cool. Okay, what do we want next? We've got I need 4 or 5 more of these. I've got some straightaways, some stairs, a secret room, and oh, you know what I haven't done yet is anything that like curves. So I was starting to do one of these, but maybe I'd rather have a curving passageway here. So let's mark out boundaries for another one. And I think what I'm going to do with this one is I'm going to have a wide curving passageway. So it'll start up here, go down to here, and then it'll go to here and to maybe here. We'll make it a really wide curve. And then we're going to use that as a place to put some creepy catacomb stuff. So, let's see. We'll do this curve first because this is easy. Oh, but one thing I didn't think about is that okay. Interesting. So they need to fit with the other geomorphs, so I can't have it just be a giant thing. So maybe we'll do a big round room instead. Draw to find out! Oop. Oh, what's in the secret room table? Yeah. What's in the secret room? Death! Always. Always death. For those interlopers who would trespass on these grounds, death. For the people who are interred here, also death. For those who talk smarmy to me, death. Death, death, death. In the catacombs of the death priests, it's all death all the time. Okay, I've got the start of an interesting room shape here. And let's see. Have this coming to here. this needs to come to here. Otherwise it is not compatible with the other tiles. And I did want it to sort of curve, but I think what I'll do is I'm going to make a curved room with a whole bunch of burial niches around on the walls. Something a little bit more organic looking than all these straightaways that I've been doing. How's What We Do in the Shadows? I've never played that one. And realistically, there should probably be a lot of rooms like this in here because these are catacombs that are being dug under a busy city street. So, like, probably every so often you run into somebody's basement and have to go around it or something like that. Oh no, I went outside the boundary. Oh, what do I do about that? I may be able to fake the funk on that later. I'll figure out a way to fix that. Let's see, for now, let's just... I guess we'll put around, we'll do one of my favorite things. We'll put a line around it and use the eraser tool on the stuff that falls outside later. Haha. Cheating for the win. And then, let's see, I want a pillar in here holding this up. So we'll do a big pillar right here. Cool. Oh, What We Do in the Shadows. I think everything is a role-playing game. TV series about vampires, cool. The last time somebody tried to make a TV series about vampires was like when they tried to make a role-playing game out of Vampire the Masquerade in the 90s, and it was terrible. Sorry, a TV show, not a role-playing game. Boy, was that not good. They had vampires with tans. That was like a big part of the problem. Like, you can't have tanpires. I mean, you know, well, people of color, obviously, but like, you know, with like white people who look like they're sort of like LA like tanning bed addicts, like probably shouldn't be vampires. Oh, you liked the Vampire TV show? Sorry, I wasn't a fan. I know some people loved it. No judgment. Okay, so let's see. These will be burial niches here. And then we'll put another shorty one here. And then maybe another one here. And here. I liked Forever Night. That was the one with the vampire detective, right? Canadian vampires. Yeah. I like my vampires Canadian. Okay, and then I think I'm probably going to have like an open floor kind of combat encounter in here, so I don't want to put much more in this room. But it's cool because it's like, it's a different shape. You know, it'll stand out from the rest. So let's just start doing our usual wall thing here. Vampires, vampires, yum, yum, yum. Wait, was Forever Night not the one with the detective who drank pig's blood and stuff? I thought it was. I'm mixing up my 90s vampire TV shows. It's a critical knowledge fail for me, especially given how much time I spent pretending to be a vampire in the 90s. I think that's what I'm going to do when I hit 6,000 followers on Twitter. I'm going to release embarrassing vampire photos from 20 years ago. Everybody can see what I looked like before I started dressing in real life like a gangrel. Okay. Oh, so the parts of this that stick out are going to have to be erased, but I'll deal with that. I'll fix it in Photoshop. That's what Photoshop's there for. I take it from that OMG lol, I am not the only one who has embarrassing vampire photos that they could release. Cool. Okay, let me get my thinner pen. In my day, I was the Prince of Chicago. I will say one thing, I've become very protective of vampire LARPers, because it's like, alright, I don't vampire LARP anymore, but leave them alone. They're sort of my people. Ish. Happy little dungeon. Some happy little trees. Okay, cool. Oh, I gotta get this one here. Okay, next bit. Get the brown. And do the ground. Now this requires me to be kind of finicky because I'm working right up against the edge of my border here. A problem that I created for myself. Kind of annoyed with me 10 minutes ago now. F that guy. You guys might not have heard this, but apparently they found that procrastination stems in part from a lack of empathy for yourself in the future. Somebody who's like super considerate to their friends and family will do absolutely jerky things to themselves in the future. Because yourself in the future to you is just a stranger who hasn't happened yet. And that's why I procrastinate. At least that's what science says now. Or some scientists. Not all of them. Some of them are busy looking for Higgs bosons and shit. Cool. All right. Next up, let's see. I've got 4 of these suckers now. Looking pretty good there. Got a straightaway path, a sort of irregular blobby room, which still needs grid lines. Excuse me. Finish that up. Oh, and I forgot the bodies. Jeez. How could I forget the bodies? I guess I'm in a hurry to be done with this room. Well, I shall fix that anon. Always remember the bodies, Jack. Whoops, straight line. Photoshop. Thank you. Glad you're liking it. Okay. Let's see. We'll make this an older section that's got skeletons in it. So, do some little fakey skeletons here. Skeletons at this scale, not hard to draw. Full-size skeletons, hard to draw. These skeletons, no bigsies. Bones connected to the shoulder bone, and the shoulder bone's connected to the fake vertebrae, and I sort of draw a pelvis, and it looks the way, and then I do a little bone down there, and a little feet thing. Widen this out because it's the femur. Add some arms. Yay. Skeleton! Go around calling myself Skeleton Wizard, I'd damn well be better able to at least fake draw a skeleton. Ooh, the bones, the lovely bones, laid out here for all to see. You know, if you're gonna make a zine, one thing that helps is to be slightly manic for a little while. I found. No, don't do that. Yeah, I finished the first issue of this really quickly, but Skeleton Wizard is a lot of the stuff is stuff that I kind of started or had in the can for a while. While I was working with Post-Human Studios on Eclipse Phase, I didn't really get to do much of my own stuff, and I had notebooks and notebooks full of things that I wanted to work on, whole games that I'd fully or partially designed and not been able to release because I was busy working on Eclipse Phase. So what I'm doing right now is kind of everything that that was on the back burner for years and years is kind of coming out all at once. So I have a lot of energy for it. I happen to be not fully employed right now, and I think those things together are working in my favor with making a zine. But yeah, like putting together a whole zine, it was some work. And I'm going to a little higher page count this time, and I'm hoping it's sustainable because like I want to be able to do one of these every month without totally killing myself. So I'll let you know how it goes. Okay, so that's this room. We've got a creepy skeleton dorm here, and we can move on to the next tile in our catacombs. Let's see what it's. Try to figure out what it's going to be next. Let's see. And it requests. I liked the secret room idea. I think I might just... I want more than one stairway here, so I'm definitely going to do one of those. And, oh, maybe I could do... Maybe I could do a stairway that curves. That'd be cool. I don't have one of those yet. I would kill two birds with one stone. Not that I'm super on board with the killing of birds. It's just a metaphor. Yeah, so we're going to build up an outer wall. Looking good. Saw a few more people join. How's everybody's Friday going? Mine has been pretty chill. And now I'm drawing imaginary dungeons, so it's even chiller. The exercise of the imagination is just as good as any after-work beer. Doesn't replace weed, though. Shh. Don't tell Twitch I said that. Okay, cool. Let's get this going. Oh, what's this? Your office network is bug. Is your work trying to block Twitch? What a bunch of jerks. Can't believe the nerve. It's Friday. They should know nobody's doing anything. Wait, ball puns? Like Baal the Canaanite deity? How are Canaanite deities working into the humor this afternoon, Sumkey? I'm really curious. Yeah, they process the bodies. So the idea is that they're indigenous to Cheops, which is this huge, bustling trading city that's very crowded. And what's happened there over time is all of the different religious sects, which in this world are closely related theologically, have kind of entrusted the maintenance of the catacombs and the interment of bodies or other disposal. Like, they also do things like sky burials. They'll do cremations. They'll do ship burials under some circumstances. And it all depends on what's needed. And each god has death priests. So for each of the 8 major gods, there are death priests, but the death priests all work together despite their sectarian differences. Oh, Forgotten Realms Ball. Okay. That's a Forgotten Realms deity, right? Ball? Is that the one that happened when the 2 gods died and Bane dies and gets merged together with another god. I'm trying to remember the whole... I haven't read Forgotten Realms novels in a really long time. The knowledge is fuzzy. Yep, that would be baller. Balls to the wall. Dude. That's bad. But I'm laughing. This is what I love about puns. I mean, they're so objectionable, and yet they're funny anyway. I don't even know why they're objectionable. I think it's just cool not to like them. That sounds terrible. But I laugh at them anyway when they're good. I laugh at them even better when they're bad. Balls to the wall. That's... man. He was killed when he turned mortal and had a bunch of kids. Oh. The Baldur's Gate games? Okay. Well, I can't ask not for spoilers on Baldur's Gate at this point. I've actually been doing a Baldur's Gate run on here sporadically because I never finished the damn thing. Also, I was a Mac user at the time when Baldur's Gate first came out, so I didn't really have a chance to play it when it first emerged. You get it for the Mac now, but I don't think you could back then. How old is Baldur's Gate now? If I get spoilers on Baldur's Gate, that's my fault. I'm hanging around gamers for one thing. Oh, that sounds cool. Yeah, I remember there was a Forgotten Realms novel series like from the 90s or 80s where Bane gets beat up. I wonder if that connects to Baldur's Gate. I don't actually know. I'm not that kind of Dungeons and Dragons scholar. I'm the kind who knows a lot of crap about like Greyhawk and Old Dragon magazine articles. I'm playing whatever Steam gave me, so it's like Baldur's Gate Enhanced Edition, and yeah, I assume it has a bunch of patches on it. I haven't had a lot of issues with it, with like bugged quests or anything like that so far. Seems pretty good. So, yeah, I don't know. Let's do the ground and then we'll do the stairs. The only thing I don't really like about Baldur's Gate, and I know this is an unpopular opinion, is like Minsk and Boo are like a little too silly for me. Like if they had shown up as part of a quest where I had to like help them or something, I'd be like, oh, these guys, they're kind of a hoot, and then I would get back to my like sort of serious adventure. Having him in the party long term, he kind of drove me nuts a little bit. And I know people love Minsk, and this is heresy, but he's just a bit much for me. don't feel that he needs to be, you know, I'm not like writing revenge fan fiction or anything, but you know, I don't usually keep him in my party for the whole time. Yeah, yeah. He's got great stats. I mean, like it's kind of painful because on the one hand, there's part of me that's like, this guy's kind of annoying. I'm not sure if I want him in my party, but then he's got like an 1876 strength or something ridiculous like that. Yeah, that was some old D&D right there. With the percentile strengths. I always found exceptional strength for fighters, even back then, to be sort of a real weird rule. Like, why didn't it just go to 19? Why were there like 4 or 5 strength levels in between? Never mind. You guys don't remember this shit. Actually, you do if you played Baldur's Gate. Yeah, like Baldur's Gate overall is like, you know, it's semi-serious. Like, you know, there's not a huge amount of comedy peppered through the thing. The other character I find kind of difficult to listen to is Khalid, the sort of like cowardly fighter or whatever he's supposed to be. I felt like that was an odd choice. Love the rest of that game though. I mean to finish it this time around. My first attempt at a playthrough, my computer died and I didn't get to finish it. Yeah. Okay, 2E, so I'm not the only person who's played a ton of 2E here. I mean, I played 1E as a kid, but I don't think I never really played 1E correctly. Like, we did a lot of simplifying of the rules with 1E. Yeah. Yeah. With the percentile strength, definitely. They painted themselves into a rules corner, is how it seems. Oh, I just used the brown to do the shading on this. Well, I guess I better finish that way. Whoops. That's okay. It's hard to tell the difference. What am I at here? 5. That's cool. Yeah, Jaheira and Khalid are the first ones you get, and it's great. I was really happy with Pillars of Eternity when I found out that you could create your own party members. because it was like, all right, you don't like the way one of these party members is written, you can just make another one that fulfills the same role, and they won't have a bunch of dialogue and plot, but they won't be annoying for you while you play the game either, and you know, you get some customization. And then I went and played Pillars, and like I really liked almost all of the characters it provides, so I ended up not really doing very much of that. I think I only had like 1 or maybe 2 custom characters that I created in my run. But the fact that they gave you the option was just great. Alright, so we're putting in the grid lines here. And go like that. Cool. So pretty high contrast, easy to see. I'll connect these, they look a little funny disconnected. And there's our curving staircase. So that's 5 out of 8. Oh, you started with 3rd? Yeah. 3rd is a pretty common first edition for a lot of people. Gamers of a certain age. Okay, what's next here? Oh, hey. So guys, I'm getting paged by the real world right now, so I'm going to go to test pattern for about 5 minutes, grab something to drink, see what's going on with life, and I will be right back and draw 3 more of these. So thanks for hanging out, and if you're still here after the break, that's awesome. Hey there, I'm back. Okay, continuing with this. Let's see, where were we? So we've got 5. We've got 5 different geomorphs so far, and I think I need 3 more to finish off my dungeon. So I've got room on this sheet for 1 more. Then I'm going to switch to a different sheet because I've found that when I'm scanning these, they tend to get a little crinkled along the edges. This size is just the size that will fit on the scanner that I have access to right now. So we'll mark off another one of these little 3x3 areas. And let's see. One thing that I haven't done yet is just a big square room. And that's kind of tricky to do in the size that I have, but I also had this idea of doing like some side crypts in one of these. So let's see what that would look like. That might look like a little bit like our secret room here, only it wouldn't be so secret. So these will be like, you know, some rich people's crypts or something. Dead rich folks buried here. Please rob. So yeah, we'll do I'm not going to have that quite come all the way back. There'll be basically 2 5-foot squares in each of these crypts. So again, just following the technique I've been doing all along, starting out by building up a nice thick wall, delineating where the corridor ends. Easy to read for player and game master alike. And then here, I'm going to have our wall just come down here so it won't be a whole square. And that gives us room to put some texture underneath it for the dungeon wall. Dark Sun. I liked Dark Sun. I never ran it. It wasn't one of my favorite settings ever, but it was like a good take on a D&D world. Like, it wasn't like anything else that they'd done up to that point, which was really cool. I think it was kind of the first time anybody ever really did post-apocalyptic fantasy. Is there a Dark Sun computer game? I'm trying to remember if they ever made one. A couple of them, yeah, but old. I'm trying to remember. Did they re-release Dark Sun? Was it for 4E or 5E? That was a few years back now, and I can't remember the timeline exactly. Okay, and then we'll put some walls here, so we can have some big vault doors. And then we'll have this be sort of a half square where the wall comes out. .4e. Okay. And then let's see. Oh, I don't know what a door looks like in my dungeon yet. I haven't decided that. I'm going to go with a big slab of wood. Actually, let's see. We're in a tomb. Would it be wood? It could be. It could be wood down here. So I'll do a thick wooden door, and we'll do some wood grain lines on there. Cool. So there's our doors. And beyond, we'll have fancy tombs. So let's see the back half of this room. Will be sort of a burial vault. Let's see. Oh, this family has their remains interred in strange ways. Cool. So yeah, this is a big burial vault here. We'll just put some shading lines on it. And let's see, what else do we need here? We need to do our brickwork along the outside of the passageway. For-ee. How did a 4E campaign for Dark Sun played out? I'm just curious, actually, how many levels did you play to? Because 4E has its things that it does well, but I always felt like it got slow when you got to higher levels. Okay, bricks. So I had kind of a fun exchange on Twitter today with a bunch of people. I was working on a monster description for 5e, and I had kind of talked myself into the idea that I needed called shots to represent something about damaging the monster. And I got talked out of it. Someone successfully convinced me that 5e doesn't really need called shots for very many things. And my case was not really a case where it did. So that was interesting. It was an interesting discussion. It was definitely one of those discussions where it was like, oh my gosh, it's annoying that you're right. Why do you have to be right about this thing? Being wrong is good for the soul. Sometimes. Okay, cool. Got a burial vault, a bunch of little doors. Oh, I am working on a description for a monster that is incorporeal except for its eyes. And so the eyes are a way of bypassing the damage resistances that it gets from being partly incorporeal. And I wanted to work it where doing a called shot on the eyes would bypass the damage resistance and get you full damage on it. But somebody kind of talked me out of that, and the reason was because if you have a damage resistance and you try to do a called shot as a way of getting rid of the damage resistance, and you make the called shot work through disadvantage, which was what I was doing, then you're really just saying, all right, you're going to hit half as often, but you'll do twice as much damage. At which point it's like, okay, the player feels smart for figuring out the weak spot, but mathematically they're not doing any better. Which I had somehow not realized when I was thinking about it. For me, it was just a table call, where I wasn't even thinking about the monster's weak spots, and then one of the players came up with the idea of going for the eyes, and I said, yeah, sure, if you go for the eyes, that's great. So, it's supporting what the players are doing at the table, which is cool, but mathematically it's not any better. So, but that depends on how you do called shots and what you're doing with them. There was, if you follow my Twitter, there's a long thread there today. There was a guy named John, I think, who had a lot of opinions on this, and his arguments ended up, for me anyway, being sound. They kind of let me do what I wanted without... I came up with an alternate solution that worked pretty well. It was basically just, instead of a called shot, if they get their lore check or whatever, and they know it's a weakness now, then they can always get it. Which I think works a lot better, because then they really get something mathematically, which they weren't the way I was doing it. But it was a lively topic. A lot of people were like, oh, okay. I will have called shots in my game now, too. But I guess the point that he managed to make with me, which was very good, was that the damage system in D&D already really kind of accounts for things like called shots. If you're hitting somebody in a certain place and doing more damage, then either that's a critical, or you've gotten through the person's sort of outer non-physical kind of willpower based hit points, and you're inside that and doing real damage to them now. Which I hadn't really thought about, so that that makes sense why they're not a thing. Okay, a little ground texturing. We're almost done with this bit. I gotta figure out what I'm making next. Put some random gravel in there. Some stones, and then do our grid lines on the floor. So the one thing that I don't really have in this dungeon is I don't really have much in the way of traps, because the catacombs are used by the priests, and the priests don't want traps there. If they're worried about something being down there, they just go in numbers, and they carry heavy weaponry. So it's a mostly trap-free dungeon, which is an unusual thing. But, if it's your dungeon, why put traps there, right? Cool, okay. So that's our burial vault. And I don't like how some of the hatching turned out here, so I'm going to have to go back and clean that up a little bit. Photoshop eraser tool. Cool. 2 more, and I'm finished. This day's productivity brought to you by non-alcoholic beer, the letter theta, and my webcam. Okay, I think it's time for a new sheet of, well, actually, yeah, time for a new sheet of paper where I'm going to crinkle everything up when I try to scan it. So by the way, this stuff is like some of the best graph paper that I've ever had. If you need graph paper recommendations, which let's face it, fellow nerds, you do. And I am not paid by these people, but it's this Bienfang, not graph paper. For some reason, it's called gridded paper, but it comes in this huge, like, tabloid size, like 11 by 17. So you can really, actually, I guess this is bigger than 11 by 17. What's the 17 by 22? So you can really get a lot on here. It's got a nice texture. It's got good opacity. It's not super thin. And the lines aren't too dark, so they're fairly easy to take out with Photoshop, which is important for me for this project. Okay, 2 more geomorphs. Let's do this. So, it's focused up toward the top of my page here. Cool. And do my 3 by 3. And let's see. I definitely need one more straight one with burial niches in it. I think that would be good to have. So we'll do one more of these dealies. And I like that asymmetrical one I did earlier on this stream, so I think I'll do that again. Get my walls built up nice and thick. And to make it easier to do that brickwork pattern inside here, I'm giving myself a little bit of space. Somewhere in here there will be more undead. Ooh, you know what I want? For my last one, I want a germline burrow off of the main corridor. I think that's what I want, because I've been thinking about using germlines in this. I don't think germlines have actually been converted for 5e yet, which is sort of exciting. That might be yet another new monster in this issue. We'll see. But I'm not going to do it here. This one will just be another straight. I'll put more short people niches along here. I suppose you could also use these for burying pets. Cool. And then the corridor continues up here. All right, let's get our underbricking. So I'm trying this year to do both Metatopia, which is one of my favorite cons of all time, but also hit up Big Bad Con out in California. And I'm kind of excited about that. I've already got my games on the schedule there. Here it's a pretty cool, I don't know, I wouldn't say it sounds like Metatopia West, but it's definitely got some of the Metatopia vibe going along with it. This is the first year in a long time that I'm not doing Gen Con. So it's kind of cool to try out something new. Still be doing Metatopia though. There's too many people since I moved from the East Coast who I only see at Metatopia, so missing that would be a super bummer. Yeah, I am close to Origins. I guess with Origins, like, it's not... If I had a reason to go, I mean, like, I sort of am viewing cons as, like, from a very, like, creator perspective right now, I guess, and, like, I feel like the audience that I'm trying to reach is at some of these smaller cons. But I like Columbus. Like, it's a fun town to visit. And Origins is a good con. I just haven't been to it in a long time. One fun thing at Origins, if you ever have, like, non-game convention time to kill, is Columbus has a pretty decent little art museum, and if I recall correctly, it's only, like, it's pretty close to where the convention center is, if you're an art lover. Not that I typically get a ton of time to go and do non-convention things when I'm at gaming conventions, but I happened to the time I went to Origins. C-Bus. Oh, that's the, I did not know the nickname for your town. Yeah, Columbus has got some good restaurants. The last time I was there actually wasn't for Origins, it was for, the World Fantasy Convention was held there. Back in, like, 2011, and I think I haven't been to Columbus since then. Would go again, though. Nice town. Oh, yeah? Oh, that's cool. It was tiny when I was there last. I mean, by my standards. I mean, you know, and I'm used to living with, like, the Art Institute of Chicago and everything, so I've got, like, a little different perspective on that, but... That's cool. It was a good museum. It had a nice collection for, like, a small city museum. Okay. Getting there. Yeah, I think I'm actually going to get through all 8 of these. That's good. I kind of needed to. Got a zine to put out. I'm not sure what the threshold is between zine and magazine. I think it's a zine because I'm a Gen Xer and we make zines. If you're a millennial, you can make a thing, but you may not call it a zine. Sorry. It's our thing. Okay. Getting there with the sand and gravel. So speaking of Rhode Island, going back to something way earlier in the stream, did you know, I mean, I'm guessing, Jared, you probably know this, some key you will not know this, that the official state drink of Rhode Island is coffee milk? And what, you may ask, is coffee milk? Well, I'm not sure, but you get this coffee syrup in the grocery stores there, and there are a couple of different brands, and both of them proudly proclaim that this is the state drink. So one time, one of my game designer friends was coming from Seattle to a convention in Rhode Island, and I was excited to see him, but also feeling sort of jokey, so I got him coffee milk, a little thing of coffee syrup, and a thing of milk. And I said, here, you're in Rhode Island. Drink what the natives drink. And I don't know if he ever drank it. And I don't know if it was good. I should ask him sometime. Simon, did you ever drink the coffee milk? So let's do some niches for the possibly unquiet dead. Oh, you're from Maine, okay. Yeah, Rhode Island is like, it's its own little thing. They've got like kind of their own accent that sort of sounds like Boston, but isn't. They got coffee milk. And isn't that the world headquarters of Dunkin' Donuts, too, is in Providence? Not to mention Hasbro, the people who own a certain game that we all know and love. If you're hearing a strange sound in the background, that's my cat being indecisive about having a hairball. Don't be alarmed. Don't be alarmed. It's just Duncan, Idaho. City of Heroes. City of Heroes was set in Rhode Island? That's odd. I mean, I know there was one game developer that I knew of in Providence for a while, but it wasn't the one that did City of Heroes. It was somebody else. Wait, was City of Heroes a Turbine game by any chance? Because Turbine's based in Boston. I could see there being like a New England connection there. Cobalt. And we'll do one more Cobalt. Because they're wee. And they fit into wee burial niches. Cryptic in Los Gatos, so no. Somebody just liked Rhode Island, I guess. Interesting. Do a little grave bric-a-brac here. Some little offerings or whatever. Some crud. Cool, and then that just needs some grid lines. So we'll do those. Oh, founder was from Rhode Island? Okay. Yeah, there was that one, like, the biggest game developer in Providence was, like, it was owned by one of the Red Sox guys, and he kind of ran the company into the ground. I forget the name of the studio, but it was a hot mess, and he had gotten a huge loan from the state of Rhode Island to do his business. And he had a whole bunch of people working on a mass morgue that never got released, that had beautiful, amazing art and was supposed to be totally groundbreaking. Laid everybody off. Yeah, that asshat. I forget his name right now. But yeah, pretty terrible business dealings. Yes, 38. Yeah, I knew a person or two who worked there, and man, they got a raw deal. Okay. Yes, Kurt Schilling. That guy. Otherwise known as that guy. Okay, so for our burrow here, I'm going to sort of break the overall rule that I've been using of every single tile lets out on the same edge. And instead what I'll do is I'll have one that goes to scale, but then has some areas branching off from it. So you'll still be able to line this up with the other tiles. It just won't be like a perfect 3x3 lineup, but like all the other ones. And then from this, we'll put the entrance to our burrow. Todd McFarlane. All kinds of people who I would give my money to. Alright, so let's see. Germlanes. They're going to have a secret door. Right here. That'll open up into the burrow. And then... So, this will be one of these things where if the adventurers get mad enough to look for secret doors, they can find one. But the main entrance to the burrow, the one they'll be able to see, is going to be germlane sized. So it'll be a tiny little hole in the wall right here. And then we'll have this kind of open up here. This will just be like a little secret niche in the wall that they're taking advantage of. Get to do some organic tunneling here. And this will be like our little room here that's sort of been collapsed. And if a PC actually manages to squeeze through here somehow, which they can, there'll be a bigger room back here that they can get into. Okay, cool. Yeah, so for this, how do we want to do this? We have to do this a little bit differently from some of the other ones. So we'll take this organic rough wall here and just thicken it. So we've got a clear border before we start the texturing that goes underneath. I think maybe the other trick to this is adventurers can figure out that some of these walls are kind of thin, and that if they have a shovel or pick, or even maybe like a mace or a warhammer, they can kind of smash through them and get at the chewy center, which is the germ lanes. One of my favorite annoyance monsters ever. They're just such nasty little things. And they control rats. Yay. And I can imagine a scenario where you use the germ lanes as like little plague bearers to infect a city. Yeah, so this ended up, I'm going to have to use a little bit different technique with this to get the, because obviously there's not masonry underneath these like there is with some of the other areas of the dungeon. So I'll have to texture this a little bit differently. So yeah, here's a little section of wall that people can like kind of Kool-Aid man through if they're intrepid. Or they can squeeze themselves down and try to crawl along it. That looks bad. Okay, cool. So there's my wall patterns. And then for the normal walls, I can do the same thing that I've been doing. Do my brickwork pattern. And then I'll have to change to something else when I get to these rough walls here. Thinking about what that might be right now. Alright, cool. Do my little skinnies. Just a tenuous line along here. Where I can plug in some brick lines. Happy little bricks. Make love to the graph paper. Okay, cool. Now I have to figure out what I'm doing for these other areas here, and I think I might try doing some dense hatching on the insides of these. Yeah, that's looking pretty good. Okay, this will do the trick for me. And then I can do my gravel pattern inside that I've been doing all along. Oops. There we go. So just hatch along the outside of these. And then hatch along the inside here. Okay, is that everything? Yeah, cool. And then I just have to fill in my gravel pattern and my grid lines, and I will be done. I have a complete set of Catacomb geomorphs. Let's fill in this area here. Looking pretty good. Dots, dots, dots. Okay, and then inside here. And here I'm doing the dots a lot denser than I normally would, because I need to them to stand out from all these other textures that are in here already. I can do my gravel and rocks. All right, getting there. Cool. All right. Let me just do the grid lines and we can sew this puppy up. Cool, and then I have to put grid lines in here, showing where the boundaries are once you get into these tunnels. So there's no mistake that these are a wall. I'm keeping careful to not have them go all the way to the edges of the walls adjacent to them so that they don't look like they're another wall. Cool. That is all she wrote. All right, so thank you for joining my Happy Friday stream. It was cool hanging out with you guys. Jared, it sounds like you're job hunting there. If that's what's going on currently, good luck with that. Hope that bears fruit for you. And, if you guys haven't followed me already, I think everybody here has followed me, but if you haven't, please follow me. Also, my Patreon is right underneath me here. That gets you Skeleton Wizard, which is my 5e zine. And, well, it's not just 5e, it's also story games and other weird stuff that I write. So please check that out. And thanks so much for listening today. It was fun having you guys. Signing out. Okay. Hey, Papa. What's up, Papa? Hey. What's up here, man? You want to go outside?